and come back and we can talk about them. But okay, let's get into some comic news.
Now look, I want the real story.
So this will actually be more of a unique comic news segment because one reason, and it'll be very apparent, I have two pieces of news, daily double. But no, there were two pieces of news that I wanted to bring and I couldn't pick. So I said, fuck it, let's bring them both. And really, it's more like four. You'll know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. So the two things that I have for you guys today, one being loads of MCU news, okay? Tons of stuff got revealed. And I am very excited to talk about that. But also, I have a story, a bit of a unique one. An artist has spoken out. Jason Fabok has given his words on a potential Three Jokers sequel and spoke on his relationship working with DC. A very interesting story. I will get into that after some of this MCU news, okay? So let's just dive right into this. So first off, this one's crazy, okay? Deadpool 3 has been confirmed. Maybe that was already confirmed. I mean, at this point, who the fuck knows? I mean, we got this covered, that fake news website. They post up every theory every day. So at this point, I don't know when things are actually confirmed versus, you know, just rumored versus, I guess, just like highly anticipated. I don't know. But Deadpool 3 is confirmed, and maybe this is the most relevant element, a bit of a tongue twister there, but it will be rated R. It is confirmed. It will be rated R. I have a quote here from the script writers, and I want to say their names, but they're long and they're difficult for my Caucasian self to say. So I'm gonna go with not saying their names. But the two writers who are working on Deadpool 3 released a statement, and I will read it here. They said, quote, "It will be rated R, and we are working on a script right now, and Ryan's overseeing a script right now. It will not be filming this year. Ryan is very busy, very successful actor. We got a number of things that we've already announced and now we have to make, but it's exciting for it to have begun." Again, a very different type of character in the MCU. Ryan is a force of nature, which is just awesome to see him bring that character to life. Definitely co-sign everything those writers said there, and just generally, wow. Deadpool 3 is confirmed. It will be a part of the MCU and it will be rated R. I mean, need I even say this? I believe this will be Disney's first ever rated R film. I'm not even playing. I mean, is it Disney's? Is it Marvel Studios? I don't even know at this point. It's not like they show the Walt Disney Castle or anything before Endgame. But it's clearly a Disney property at the end of the day. They've never put out an R-rated movie. Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds have now broken that 100-year promise that they made to, I guess, I don't know, the FCC or something. So in general, that's really crazy. I love that Ryan Reynolds is also like a contributing person, even in the script writing. I love that. I mean, he is Deadpool. Like he literally is Deadpool. I am convinced that Rob Liefeld met a young Ryan Reynolds back in the day and actually based Deadpool off of that encounter. But that's just my theory. Okay, but second off, before I get into more fake news, second off, this is another rated R news story, okay? And again, for another tangential MCU movie, you'll know what I mean. Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, has been confirmed R-rated. This is kind of a leak, I don't know. It's kind of a leak that maybe got a little out of control, but take my word for it. Take my word that means nothing for it. It looks legit, okay? So there was a leak of the tail end of a Venom trailer, and it did the whole rated R, whole thing that happens at the end of the trailer. And it also advertised a full actual trailer for the movie to come out during the Super Bowl. So not only one is that very exciting, the Super Bowl is on the 7th. I had to look that up. But we're getting a new trailer out in the beginning of February, in less than a month. And not only that, it's rated R. I mean, I said it looks legit. It really does. But let's remain vigilant, okay, guys? I mean, I don't want anyone getting duped here. That's the last. I hate fake news. It always gets me. I'm so gullible for it. So I try and keep, a healthy dose of skepticism. But right now, it looks legit. It's going to be rated R. I hope so. It's going to have Carnage. It's going to have Eddie. I mean, it's got to be rated R. But last little piece of MCU news. And frankly, this one is a little more of a rumor. But I'll just get out with it. Kristen Ritter has been rumored to reprise her role as Jessica Jones in the upcoming She-Hulk Disney Plus show. Kind of a mouthful. And like I said, This one's a little more clickbaity / rumor-y, so I apologize for that. Please take that with a grain of salt. I am not the arbiter of truth in this universe, but comic Twitter was having a hoot about this, okay? So I feel like I had to talk on it, me included, right? I was all hooty, going on. But that being said, the source of this news piece is kind of sketch. I guess it's just some guy with like 100K followers on Twitter. Apparently his Patreon, he said it in his Patreon. I mean, could this have just been him shitting around? I don't know, but I mean, we will see. But there is a dose of legitimacy to this story, and that is Kevin Feige, or Foggy. I really don't know how to say it. I mean, it can't be Foggy like Foggy Nelson. So it's probably Feige. Well, Kevin Feige, the executive president of all things MCU, he has left the door open for these Netflix Marvel shows, which is amazing. I am myself a humongous fan of the Netflix verse. You know me, I like my edgy stories, so of course I'm gonna. But what Kevin Feige said is pretty cool. He said, well, certainly you've seen what we announced at Comic-Con a year and a half ago and on Disney Investors Day a few weeks ago. So that's our focus. But I've been at Marvel long enough to never say never about anything. Perfect answer. I mean, this whole time, like the whole Save Daredevil movement, the love of the Netflix shows, it's all been this like bubbling morning wood of like fandom, right? Sorry for the crude language there, but that's what it feels like because there's so much, tension, right? We all want the Netflix heroes to finally be in the movies, right? And apparently Daredevil was confirmed, I'm not going to get back into that. But that all being said, it's a lot to swallow, okay? I just threw a lot at you, all right? So I hope you're ready for more. But what we should take away from this is keep your eyes and ears peeled and just know that Kevin Feige, he's in our corner, right? He is in our corner as comic fans and as fans of the source material. He's definitely one of those guys. He's probably got a few long boxes of his own at home. But let's move on past this MCU BS and get into some of the real shit, which is Jason Fabok has came out and made a statement speaking about a potential Three Jokers sequel. And not only that, more explosively, maybe explosively is a loaded way to phrase this, but he spoke on his relationship with DC. For those that don't know, Jason Fabok, he is the Three Jokers artist, a recent story that came out for DC, a big story, blockbuster, kind of 3-part event. It was super nuts. Every, comic fan was reading it. Big deal. I reviewed it on the show. You can go find it in my past episodes. I, for one, did dig the story. But he took to Instagram, revealing some of his upcoming work and kind of just vented about some of the stuff that went on with the creation of that project. And instead of just more fluffery, I'll read what he said. He said, "You may not see this for a while," in reference to the picture that it was commented on, "but it's my future and it's going to be incredible. Three Jokers has freed me from the grind and now I can focus on quality and draw what I want. Can't wait until the day I can show this off. Project 1 of 2021. He continued saying, "A lot of stuff previous to that were rush jobs forced by DC, which I hated. Now I can do what I want with my time and can focus on books I actually want to draw and have say in." Now, I believe through a comment chain, someone asked him if he would be taking to crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff, and he said he was kind of going to avoid that realm, saying, "Not now, but maybe in the future sometime. I don't really have a desire to do crowdfunding and put up with the printing and selling, etc. I just want to draw and focus on that. But I see the draw towards it maybe one day, or like a hybrid like Tony Daniel or Keanu Reeves," in reference to, I think, Noctera and Berserker, 2 recent Kickstarter projects. Now, I'm sure you're saying, well, get to it, old man. And here I'm at it, okay? So this is the part where he kind of starts to speak out more on his relationship with DC. He says, "But DC is so poorly run, it took 6 months to get back to us on our pitch. So I took work elsewhere." The pitch in that quotation, I'm not sure what he's referring to. He may be referring to Three Jokers. Three Jokers sort of famously had quite a long production time, but he continues here, and this is really where the meat of it all is. He says, "I've worked at DC for 10 years, and a majority of that was when the company was run like a well-oiled machine, with leadership that loved its creators and trusted them. It wasn't perfect, but there was a sense of trust and willingness to listen to ideas. When I say the company is run poorly, it's because I've seen it run well for years. I love DC with a passion and want it to succeed, but right now I don't think it's being run well, and it's okay to say that. Many people working there are saying the same. For starters, they fired almost everyone I ever worked for at the company, many of which were passionate about the books and did not deserve to go. It's okay to be truthful and to call things out. I'm not an employee and I'm not blinded to the fact that the ownership can make bad decisions. I had to make a choice and work with someone who wanted my services, and that's okay. When the time comes, I'll go back to produce more for DC and give my all. Jeff and I have many stories already brewing, but things are going to change big time in comics, and you gotta make moves for your future. So yeah, that's kind of a lot. That's a pretty like mask off, I guess, way to talk about DC at the moment, especially from a writer who just hopped off one of DC's probably best-selling and highest-profile books coming out right now. So I was definitely shocked to see Jason Fabok kind of say all that. I did not know that all that was kind of going on under the ground. But it is a sad story. You know, it sucks to hear that like corporatism sometimes can drag down the creative side and drag down the artistic side. Obviously, the corporate element is, has to be there, right? I mean, to some degree, DC is just a huge company. It can't exactly operate like Image, it just might not actually be as successful, or maybe that's just the thought. But in truth, I'm actually really happy for Jason Fabok. I think it's awesome that he kind of is freed himself from his contract. I assume that's kind of what is going on. And, that's produced a whole slew of great art throughout history, right? I mean, what comes to mind is that Big Crit album, when he hopped off of his label, he was with Def Jam, right? And once he hopped off, didn't he drop Forever's a Mighty Long Time? Gosh, I mean, this is a really hard aside, but I love that album. And that's one of those, like, I'm now away from my corporate influence pieces of work. So I can only hope that we can maybe get the Jason Fabok's Forever is a Mighty Long Time equivalent of his work. And the pictures he was sharing were like these ravens. So, I think that is a good start for it. But that being said, I mean, Jeff Johns is still going to be at DC, I mean, Jason Fabok is kind of one of the only writers that's broken from there for a while. He worked there for 10 years. So, obviously at some point you're gonna want kind of how the old things were. So, hey, I wish him the best. He was definitely one of the best to ever pencil Batman. You can fight me on that. And I'll probably be looking at what he is working on. I hope he does some Image work or some Marvel work. I mean, holy shit. Can you imagine Jason Fabok coming and doing some covers for Marvel? Jesus Christ. I think we'd all lose our minds. So that is what I got for the news segment today. I liked that news. I liked that news segment. I thought that was fun. I like doing two stories, especially from, both sides of comics, right? The insider, real comic geek type shit. And then, of course, the movies. But that all being said, let's get into